Hey guys, welcome back to Unicycle Lore. I got something a little different for you today, so grab a drink and some snacks, kick back and relax, because I think this might be a long one. As someone who's been around the extreme unicycling community for a while, I can remember some years here and there that stood out for really pushing the sport forward. For example, I remember 2010 as the year flat and street riders blew the doors wide open on big unispins, fast flips, and long combos. It was also the year the first seat whip was landed, and the lengths of handrails people could grind on unicycles absolutely skyrocketed. It was a standout year for unicycling, without a doubt. As I've started paying closer attention throughout the back half of 2025, it's become apparent to me that this year is another one of those transformative years for unicycling. Today I want to review some of the coolest things I saw this year, and explain how I see the current state of urban unicycling, focusing mostly on flatland. Now, it's definitely possible that I'm going to miss something that you thought was really cool or important, and if that's the case, just drop a comment so we can chat about it, and while you're at it, you might as well subscribe. I also know there are going to be some curious non-unicycle people watching this video, and if you're one of them, you should stick around and see what types of things people are doing on their one-wheeled clown bikes. I bet you there's something here you're not going to believe, and these riders are phenomenal athletes who deserve to have their talent seen by a wider audience. So let's get into it. To start, I want to talk about a group of riders who have progressed flatland down the path that merges it with freestyle. These would be your flat stylers. What was once a relatively niche form of flatland riding, spearheaded by visionaries like Spencer Hochberg and Arthur Richard in the early 2010s era, has developed into a distinct sub-community within flatland unicycling as it stands in 2025. These are the guys who focus on combos, and include tricks like coasts and wheel walk variations as transitions between rolls. At the highest level, you've got guys like Ben Niedick, bronze medalist at the most recent World Flatland Championship, who practices crazy transitions between coasts without ever even touching the cranks. His coast tricks are wild, but the freestyle influence even on his crank roll tricks is pretty evident. His riding is smooth, it's controlled, it's generally pretty flowy. To me, it highlights the fact that while rolls originated as individual tricks, you think of rolling wraps, outside rolls, so on, they're actually just different versions of making the unicycle move forward one rev at a time. It makes them fundamentally the same as any other freestyle skill. And the interesting thing about this hybrid style of riding is that there's a couple different ways to end up at a really high level of flat style. You've got guys like Spencer and Alex Murr, who started as more traditional flat riders, and eventually started to incorporate more freestyle tricks into their riding. But on the flip side, we're seeing guys who've come from a fundamentally freestyle background that then begin to integrate flatland style rolls and tricks into their riding. There is an absolutely sick flatland scene growing in Japan right now around riders who fit this description. I've been paying closer attention to these guys throughout 2025 after being blown away by their riding at Unicon in 2024. Shout out Oliver Nielsen, by the way, for helping keep me in the loop on Instagram. This guy is a legend. You should go check his riding. Anyway, it's become obvious to me that the absolutely phenomenal unicycle control freestylers bring with them from a career practicing balance-focused skills pays dividends when it comes to learning flatland tricks. Not only are these guys obviously OP when it comes to flat style, but when they dabble fully in the dark arts, just straight up chasing bangers on flat, they absolutely rip. Just this year, we got Japanese freestylers doing whips to hands on head. They did sedge flips, secret sides, 1080 unispins, you name it. These dudes are insane, and they're becoming massively influential on flatland and freestyle unicycling. I mean, they're not the only guys doing 1080s on freestyle unis. Here's another one by unicycle.flow, and he does them from the cranks. I mean, look at the unicycle doesn't even leave the ground when he does this. He's doing the fastest 10 spin you've ever seen. These scenes are growing in Japan, Germany, and Denmark, and if you aren't following them, you really should be. But in the meantime, while the freestyle takeover of flatland unicycling is in full swing, who is there to represent those who prefer the fat tires and long cranks of yesteryear? Well, it would be tough to do a year in review of flat unicycling in 2025 without mentioning the champ himself, Stefan Rank. The current world flatland champion had himself a year, to say the least, and we're going to get into the details in just a bit. He hit an entire competition circuit around Europe and came away with a ton of hardware, starting with, and brace yourself for this one, a silver medal at EUC Winter in Germany. Now I hear you asking the question, who could have beaten this guy? And I understand the confusion. But for those of us who've been around for a while, you won't be surprised to hear his loss in the final battle came at the hands of none other than Cornell Out, who just quietly had one of the best years of his career for my money. Cornell posted consistently on his Instagram throughout the year, and his tricks and combos are as impressive and stylish as they've always been. He's riding that old school setup and doing the type of flatland that reminds me of the days of Loic Baud and another legend from the Hungarian underground, Chris Kovac. Cornell's ability to continue riding at such an extremely high level, even after all these years, is unbelievable, but it looks like it's not unique to just him. Actually, by the looks of it, there's something in the water in Hungary keeping this crew around. I mean, look at the production we got out of Aiden Telecki in 2025. This is a guy who's been active since 2009, and this year he created 30 high-effort, high-quality videos across Instagram and YouTube, and he's pushing back toward his physical prime as well. His weightlifting and training with a weighted vest to increase his legendary high jump ability is going to pay off in the new year. And personally, I can't wait to see the results. Now, as if that weren't exciting enough, he's also regularly teaming up with the Trials legend Mark Fabian, so the two of them can push one another to new heights, literally. It really does warm my heart to see the Hungarian scene maintaining its status as a force to be reckoned with in the world of urban unicycling, despite their limited numbers. As Damien Dion once so succinctly put it,
"Not very long, but very strong."
Actually, while I'm doing that accent, we should talk about the French flat scene a little bit. This is maybe one of the most ever-present scenes in flatland unicycling since the very start, and Clément, Kevin, and Manuel are keeping it alive. I'm not sure how often these dudes ride together, but when they do, they throw down. Kevin Gaudier is a madman, if you didn't know. This dude just comes out of nowhere, apparently after having not ridden in months, and hucks his biggest tricks every time. He landed another Adri whip just coming in completely cold. This clip hit like a truck, reminding the community that Kevin is one of a small but elite group of riders who've landed multiple different variations of the seat whip, a group which actually expanded in number by a few throughout 2025. So, what other multi-whippers joined the club this year? Well, let's turn our attention to the freshly minted American citizen himself, Jack Seven. This dude also cooked this year, despite being like 15 years into one of the most decorated careers of anyone to ever ride a unicycle. If you haven't yet, you gotta go check out his 2-hour-long edit of unused clips. This, alongside Jack's video of him landing not one, but 2 whip variations in the same session, including a seat in front max whip NBD, cement Jack as the best flat rider ever, in my opinion. Although now that I'm thinking about it, there was a rider who landed 3 whip variations in 2025, and one of those was an NBD. And that rider just so happens to be the guy who picked off Jack in the final battle at the last World Championship. And it's about time I got back to talking about him, because before that little side quest we just went on, I was initially planning to discuss Steffi. So as I mentioned before, Steffi's year started off with a silver medal, but after that he bounced back with a gold medal performance at the German Unicycle Championship, beating Mimo in the finals. It's crazy, by the way, that a street specialist like Mimo keeps making it to the final battle in these competitions, right? Then at Summer EUC, Steffi lost to another veteran rider, Jelle Dillon, in the semifinals, but battled back to take third. He got a little revenge a few months later, beating Cornell in the final battle to take home gold at the Belgian Unicycle Championship. We got a nice budding rivalry there between the old guard and the new wave. These two guys even landed their first 1080s just a few days apart. Steffi then closed out the competitive season a few days after that by taking on another flatland heavyweight who we've already talked about, Clément Pujol, at the French Unicycle Championship and winning yet again. As you can see, this kid is obviously the next big thing in competitive flatland unicycling. He dials in all of his tricks so they're completely reliable come competition time. So when you see footage of him riding in comp, it just looks surgical, right? And that's not to mention his accomplishments outside of competition. He was featured in one of the most popular unicycle edits of the entire year, the ultra cinematic Unifarm, where he showed off some of his best tricks while wearing suspenders. The dude has landed some absolute bangers this year, including 1080 side spins and 1080 unispins, which he landed in the wrong order, along with uniwhips, a signature trick in the incredibly difficult rank whip, and his third whip of the year just recently, the Adri whip, which he seems to have already gotten somewhat consistent. This kid had an unbelievable year, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in 2026. But I really think there's one more rider we need to talk about before we wrap this thing up. So maybe you're expecting me to talk about Trey Hahn. He posted amazing edits regularly throughout the year, and his riding has become truly next level. He pulls off some insane technical tricks, and his rate of progression is among the best in the world. I can't wait to see him land his whip in 2026. That's like at the top of my bingo card. And actually, his team-up video with another young American superstar, Levi Prindle, was part of what brought me back to YouTube to start doing this type of commentary in the first place. And while these guys are definitely deserving of a shout-out here, they actually aren't the focal point of the last segment of this video. So then you're probably thinking I'll talk about Mimo Seidler, and that would be a reasonable assumption. His street unicycling has progressed the sport in ways that would have been unimaginable not that long ago. He got even more experimental this year, embracing unicycling's circus origin with some mind-blowing results. His reign as the undisputed king of street continues, although his influence has seemingly produced the first of hopefully many promising disciples in Folke Schubert, who made some remarkable content this year, including a team-up with Mimo himself. The thing is, I'd like to keep focusing on flatland since that's my area of expertise, although you definitely should check out all of these honorable mentions when you get a chance. And one more shout out before we get to the grand finale. I gotta say, 2025, or at least the last week of 2025, was pretty eventful for me as well as far as tricks go. I finally got that rank whip I was working on. That was December 28th, which became my first ever truly viral unicycle clip after 19 years of posting. And then I landed a max whip on the very last day of December to put a nice bow on things. That's right, guys, I still got a little gas left in the tank. Now, with all of that out of the way, my rider of the year has to be a flatlander whose tricks were transformative on the community. Maybe the rider who made the best flatland edit of the year, or who landed a trick that stands above the rest as being the obvious best trick of 2025. Someone whose riding encapsulates the spirit of modern flatland unicycling, and who truly represents the progress of our sport throughout the past year and the years leading up to it. In this case, it just so happens to be a rider who I believe accomplished all of those things, August Agerskov. August is not a guy who wins every flat comp he enters. He always does well from what I've seen, like usually he's taking home a bronze medal or he gets 4th place, but he's always bringing the most interesting bag of tricks. Just to give you some perspective, look at the first whip August landed earlier this year. His first whip ever was this seat and back pinched max whip. It's the ender in the best flatland edit of the year, AG. This is an interesting way to do this trick. like who thinks of doing it this way? Most guys' first whip is the forward rolling uni whip, and then if you try a variation, it's a backward whip or a 180 whip or like an end-to-end whip, something like that. But August thinks about unicycling differently. If Steffi is a surgeon, August is a mad scientist, you know what I mean? The best and most fascinating trick of the year by far was the gust whip. I mean, look at this trick. This is the type of trick that doesn't come around too often, in my opinion. It just completely changes the way you think about doing tricks on a unicycle. I remember at Unicon 2012, I saw Chris Kovacs land the first 540 secret side ever. And up until the moment right before he landed it, the people sitting around watching weren't even sure that it was possible. And then he pulled it off. And it opened the door to so many different trick possibilities I can't even possibly describe them all here. So seeing the gust whip made me fired up because it represents that same kind of thing. When people see that trick and realize that is possible, who knows what kind of variations they're going to come up with. August is pursuing and advancing the version of flatland unicycling that captured my heart and my mind for the better part of the last 20 years. And it's just so impressive to see this level of riding and straight up creativity. It makes me excited about the future of flatland unicycling. It makes me feel like riding is really what it is. I hope it gets you fired up for 2026 because I want to see the urban unicycling community continue to push the sport to new levels this year. And I have a feeling the guys in this video, and especially August, are going to be there leading the charge. If you made it this far, I hope I earned a like and a sub. My goal for the new year is to hit 5,000 subscribers. We made it to 3K subs in 2025, guys. But let me know in the comments what your favorite tricks and videos were this year and what you want to land in the new year. And as always, feel free to send comments or clips to unicyclelore@gmail.com if you want to see them featured in an upcoming video. All right, guys, until next time, I'll see you later.